Hello everyone, back again, another video. Again, shout out to Sugar Bear Chirac for naming Lev Albert as the player of the day on my last video. He's been naming every single player. So I need some other participants out there that are watching this channel to let me know who the player of the day is. Here's another one, oldie but goodie, right above me. So if you know who that is, please feel free to let me know, and I'll shout you out in the next video. And also let me know if you're interested in some particular content. I probably have it already on my channel. I have about 700 videos, believe it or not. But yeah, just let me know. And again, thank you for joining me. Let's get right into this. This is an Alekhine defense from the USA Championship that took place in 2007. With the white pieces, we have none other than Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura, and with the black pieces, Alexander Shabalov. So game took place in Stillwater. Where is Stillwater, by the way? Anyway, so that's where the U.S. Championship is, Stillwater, but I didn't look up exactly where it was. So Alekhine's defense, E4, knight of 6, E5. Okay, this is the most challenging way to play it. If you don't push, then black is okay in all lines. So knight D5 from Shabalov, who, by the way, is an Alekhine defense specialist. C4 from Nakamura, knight B6, D4, or regular stuff, D6, E takes D6. This is known as the exchange variation because white is exchanging the pawn early on in the opening. White exchanges on D6, and then black has two options: E takes D6 or C takes D6. Both are playable. It's just that one is more dynamic than the other, so it depends on what type of game you want and what type of player you are. So for example, Kazimjanov played the E takes D6 variation, all right, and won a beautiful game against I want to say Alekhine, but I'm not sure on that. And here, Shabalov is playing the C takes D6 variation. So you get this counterplay going on the C file, right? Similar to Sicilian defense and some variations. And play can get very sharp. So if you like sharp play, this is a variation for you. Usually what black is going to do is play in a similar fashion to King's Indian defense or Dutch defense, where he's going to try to attack on the king side of the board. He's going to play for E5 to try to attack white center. Either white's going to exchange or take the space with D5, and then black will push with F5 and try to attack in those typical methods down the king side. And white, of course, will continue his expansion on the queen side. And so many times you will have these games where you might encounter opposite wing castling, and again, play can be very sharp. Game continue, bishop E3 from Nakamura, G6 from Shabalov, and now D5. So this is a common line that you will see where white will just take the space and opt to trade off that dark square bishop, which is a key in the black position in most of these type of setups. So white is very straightforward and will try to get rid of it right away. If you're familiar with your classics, though, you will see this exact same line in the game. Minnick Fischer, 1970. And Fischer won a beautiful game. Again, that video is also in my games collection, so you could check that out too. Bishop G7, Bishop D4 takes, Queen takes, castles right into it. And now knight of 3. Actually, it was Duncan Suttles versus Fischer. Also, Fischer played 2 games in this line, so that's 2 games from Fischer, which he won both games. In the Suttles game, I believe knight f3 was played, if my memory serves me correctly. And I actually gave this move h4. I mentioned it in my comments as a possibility. And you can see here, this is the young Hikaru, by the way. This is 2007 Nakamura, when he was playing the crazy gambits and bringing the queen out early. And, just playing all type of stuff, elephant gambit and things like that. So he's very aggressive. All right. And black does have to be careful, right? He's parted with his dark squared bishop. Black has some weaknesses as a result of that on the dark squares on the king side. And white's plan is pretty straightforward. However, the demerits in the white position are that he has no development. It save his queen. So just attacking with the queen is not going to work out, right? Just having the queen is the only developed piece. Nevertheless, black must be careful, but he does have counterplay. And again, this is why this variation is not for the faint of heart. E5, critical. Right now, black will end up with the isolated pawn, right, if white takes en passant. However, the thing is that that pawn will not be isolated for long, because white, due to his lack of development, has to worry about his king safety, and eventually black will be able to push that pawn to d5 and trade it off. So in many lines, you will not see en passant. Sometimes you will. However, black is okay even after that. Nakamura, being behind the development, keeps things closed for now. Queen d2, f5. So now you see black's typical play come to life. Knight f3, queen f6, knight c3, knight a6, and now players are starting to develop. This is a common theme here with this idea of knight g5 hitting the h7 square, and sometimes the knight will also be threatening to jump into e6. So it's something that black always has to be mindful of. Here, Shaba offers the end game by playing queen g7. In Fischer's game, in the similar position, right, not exactly the same, Fischer just played queen e7 at this point. But the idea is the same, not to get mated on h7. Queen d2, h6. So this is a little bit of prophylaxis here on Shabalov's part. He doesn't want to allow the king side to get ripped open, and he's preparing g5 as a response. And with the queen on g7, he also discourages white from doing any crazy sacrifice on g5, right? After he plays g5, he's not really worried so much about, say, knight takes g5 at this point with the queen sitting there on g7. So knight b5 by Nakamura, threatening d6. Rook f6 protects that, and now queen a5. And as you can see, I have highlighted the threat here immediately is knight takes a7, and then just simply picking up the knight on b6. Therefore, Shabalov removes his knight from theater of action. Queen a3 attacking the d6 pawn, and now queen e7. Bishop e2, and now e4. This is all common stuff. Again, play is very similar to the Dutch defense, and now you can see the pawn formation, and now you can see what I'm talking about if you're familiar with the Leningrad systems. I've played the Leningrad systems for many years, and along with the Alekhine defense, and I like playing these positions because it's very similar. All right, and that's something that you should think about when forming your repertoire, is trying to get in the positions that are similar, so that regardless of the opening, you're still in similar pawn structures. But that's a video for another day. E4, knight d2. Also, knight d4 is possible here. Equal position. But knight d2 was chosen. And now knight e5. And castles queenside from Nakamura. And knight c5. Again, this is a common theme in this opening, where black tries to concentrate on the d3 square. And you can see why I call this, this is Nakamura versus the octopus, because now you can see Shabalov is getting ready to drop one of those knights on the d3 square. King b1, knight c d3, bishop takes d3, but there's another octopus there, and this is why the knight is often nicknamed the octopus. Excuse me. The famous octopus game is I believe it's 1985 Kasparov 1985 Karpov, because he had the white pieces, versus Kasparov, game 16 in the World Chess Championship match. You will see a knight on a similar square, and it is known as the octopus knight. That knight might have been on e3 instead of d3. Go check that out yourself. But that is the famous octopus game if you look that up. And this is why the knight is called the octopus, because its tentacles reach all around the board in the white position in this case, just radiating energy. In that game, Karpov had the white pieces, and Kasparov just paralyzed him with a powerful knight on the third rank. Knight on the third rank is definitely, in most cases, worth a exchange sacrifice. The knight is just too powerful, as you can see illustrated by this diagram, to just leave in your position, right? If you can't trade that knight off, it's just an albatross, right, in a position. All right. Here, subsequently, the knight is also threatening the f2 pawn and the fork in winning the exchange. This is why Naka plays rook hf1. Shabalov plays bishop d7, and now knight d4. So white wants to do the same thing and have his own octopus on e6. The difference is that black is able to snap that knight off immediately as soon as it gets to e6 with this bishop on d7. So white does not have the same potential in his position to make black's life difficult. Queen e5, attacking the unprotected knight on d4. So queen c3, and now Shabalov, who is an aggressive player, for those of you who don't know, he plays b5. For you more conservative types out there, rook f8, right, just getting that rook back into action, or rook c8 is possible. But b5, this is throwing the gauntlet down. Shabalov obviously wants to make sure that he has first dibs on the initiative and attacking the white position. Another lesson in these type of opposite wing situations is that often material is definitely secondary to gaining the initiative. If you can gain the initiative, that's better than having a pawn or even a piece in some cases. C takes b5. Rook f7. Queen d5 is possible here also, and then white will try to undermine the that strong knight with f3, of course. Here Shabalov plays rook f7, and this prepares the rook to be able to move along the 7th rank and join in possible attack. So basically, he's getting the rook back into play once again, and also he's protecting the rook from any type of funny tactics once the queen leaves e5, because the queen is the only piece protecting the rook on f6 right now. f3, undermining the knight on d3, and now rook c8. And now here is a critical point in the position here. Naka chose to move knight c4. Okay, and we're gonna continue from here, but then we'll go back and look at the alternative, which is knight c6. And that's, to me, that seems more natural. But Naka chose this move, and it's dangerous because he is entering into a pin here. So knight c4 was played. Now Shabalov took this pawn. Queen takes d5. F takes e4, and now queen takes c4. So a trade of knights This allows Shabalov to go into the endgame though. Queen takes d3, queen takes d3, rook takes d3, f takes e4, and this continuation seeming to be forced leads Nakamura into a bad ending. He plays rook takes f7 here. His other alternative is rook d1, and then again Shabalov can force more exchanges. Rook takes f1, rook c4, and let's say he goes back and plays rook d1. After all, if he moves the knight, then the pawn on e4 will drop. So he can play knight c6 here, I guess. Bishop takes, b takes, rook takes. Okay, that's a winning ending for black. Okay, just up, just up a pawn. So instead of knight c6, another option is just rook d1, and then e3. And this is also winning for black. So to me, this continuation of knight c4 is bad for white. So, but anyway, he did not do rook d1. He exchanged rooks. But what happens here is after e takes d3, the pawn is one step closer to queening. So rook f1. Nakamura can't afford to take the bishop here because of d2. All right, and there's no way to stop that. So he plays rook f1, and now rook c4, attacking the knight. Knight c6, d2, and here Naka goes for knight e7, king g7, rook d1, and now king f7 attacking the knight. Okay, so of course if rook takes pawn, king takes knight. So Naka plays b3 attacking the rook. But then after just rook c1, he just loses and he resigned. That looks like a time trouble type move right there because of it's move 38, and maybe there was like a slight scramble going on. But after b3, rook c1, white is lost. After rook takes, of course, pawn takes, queen check, king takes c1, and then black is just up a piece. All right, so that ending for the most part seemed forced after knight c4. This whole continuation after Naka played knight c4, and I believe that is pretty much responsible for his loss in this complicated position. Let's go back. So instead of knight c4, I'm going to say knight c6 looks better and feels better. It definitely is a stronger move here. So again, going into this ending, knight c6, and of course the ending is not forced also, but this is part of my analysis. I'm not going to give all of my analysis. I never do. It's too much. But I just try to give you enough just for to get the gist across. So knight c6, queen takes c3, b takes c3, and now e3 here. And you can see the rooks are in a bad spot to get forked. So it's all is not lost here. But let me just show you that if king c2, then just simply e2, king takes, e takes, rook takes f1 and a6. This is good. But white has stronger. Knight c4, not king c2, but knight c4. e2, and then knight d6. Now, black just simply moves his knight. Knight takes c8. And black can afford to even capture another pawn because one of the rooks, the problem with moving the rooks is that if one of them comes off the first rank, then the capture is going to be with a queen and with check. So this is why black can just move his knight around. So white captures another pawn, knight e3, and knight e5. Again, those rooks really can't move. But what you see here is a very, very complicated position, and it's unclear. I know some of you are thinking it's clear, but it's not clear because of those 3 passed pawns on the queen side of the board. So that is for you guys to look at and analyze for yourself in the comfort of your homes. But I'm going to say that knight c6 is, if not the saving move for Nakamura here, it's definitely the best move, all right, to create chances to win. But again, it is unclear for both sides. That's my final assessment there in that knight c4. Kind of leads to this forced ending where black is just ahead at this point. So if we have to look at the cause of black's white's demise here, I would pinpoint it directly on knight c4, and then of course exacerbated later by rook takes f7 when rook d1 was probably a little more challenging here. So that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, subscribe, and all of that stuff like that. Check the links below. There's videos and DVDs based on this opening that we've talked about today, which is the Aлекhine's defense. If you have any questions, comments, let me know down below. If you know who the player is, player of the day, let me know in the comment box. I'll shout you out and say what's up to you on the next video. All right. So again, that was the the octopus game from Alexander Shabalov against the great former number 3 in the world, Hikaru Nakamura. So once again, thank you for joining my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.